Good morning. Let's start today's session. May Triple Gem bless you all. Welcome to the Buddhotpado Dhamma discussion. First, I would like to pay honor to Lord Buddha and our spiritual guidance teacher, Buddhotpado Arana. So, in this Dhamma discussion, we discuss about the philosophy of Lord Buddha. The Dhamma is about the true nature of things. The Dhamma is the 12 links of dependent origination. It says that nothing exists. Non-existence is the state of the Buddha, where nothing exists. There is liberation from thought. Liberation from thought is where there are no perceptions, no existence, and where there is no pleasure or pain. So for you to understand all these, we need to understand how the mind is created. So today our friend, Dhamma friend, is going to explain us how the mind is created. Over to you, Dhamma friend. Terawan Saranai.
Good morning, everyone. Today, let's build on a previous discussion about Buddhism's profound teachings. We explored how our perceptions shape our understanding of existence and how they often mislead us. We recognize the impermanence of our thoughts and the false sense of self that leads to suffering. As we continue this journey, I invite you to reflect on the interconnectedness of all things rooted in the concept of Attica Samuppadadam, the law of cause and effect. This understanding allows us to see there's no permanent self-cling to, which is utmost important for our liberation, which is essential for our liberation. So today, we'll delve deeper into how recognizing the transient nature of our thoughts can lead to genuine peace through liberation. We'll discuss the practical steps in precepts and mindfulness that cultivate the awareness and help us break free from this cycle of suffering. So we should cultivate the awareness and help us break free from the cycle of suffering. So let's embrace the wisdom of impermanence. Each moment offers us a chance to see beyond the conditioned perceptions and moving closer to the peaceful state of Nibbana. Each will take, I'll say it again, each moment offers us the chance to see beyond our conditioned perceptions, which would lead more closer to the peaceful state of Nibbana. As we explore these insights, may we need the clarity and understanding on our path toward true liberation. As you all know, all people in this world are troubled and they are suffering. Even they think that they are not suffering, but ultimate result would be the suffering. So, who can end up, who can solve this problem? Who can give an answer for this problem? In previous days, in the era of Buddha, Venerable Ananda asked the Buddha about this, my Lord, how we can end this suffering. The Buddha replied to Ananda, Ananda, sile patittaya naro sapanyo, chittam panyanta bhavayam, atapi nipako bhikkhu, so imam vitate jata. What does that mean? This means that a monk who keeps first precepts in wise is who keeps precept is wise. So he will be the person who is able to see the reality of this world and who can see the end of this suffering. Sile patittaya naro sapanyo chittam panyancha bhavaya atapi nipako bhikkhu so imam vijate jata. Here I mentioned the word called precepts. You should keep this in mind. This is not merely the 5 precepts which we used to observe, which we used to follow as an ordinary man. Here the precepts, the word sila, refer to a state of understanding which compel the monk or the person who who travel in this journey to practice, which is pure and help them stay away from the harm. Therefore, the precepts are being practiced by that particular person or the monk is also known as, in Pali, Arakanta Sila. This understanding, so we can say it's noble precepts. This understanding arises, how this understanding arises? This understanding arises from observing experiences and gaining wisdom about our 5 senses. Gaining the complete understanding about our 5 senses, we can achieve the noble state of perception. We can achieve the Arakantya Sila. For these 5 senses we call in Pali Pancha Upadana Kanda. There are 5 that is called Pancha, That's why it is called Pancha Upadana Kanda, merely the five senses. In order to achieve the true liberation by ending this suffering, one must see and comprehend the nature of these five senses. The, the way those five senses are created, we talked in earlier sessions. Ultimately, according to the cause and effect law, it gives five different mind consciousnesses, five different vijnanas, if you tell it in Pali. As we all know, in every second, our mind gets flooded with thoughts which come from set five senses. These thoughts always try to take us away from the reality, depicting this illusionary world as real. These five senses show the world as real for us. So those five senses are like magicians. So how we should get rid of being tricked by those magicians? If you see the way that the magic, the way they do the magic trick, so there won't be any magic for you to see through these senses. If you get to know how they do the magic. If you enchanted or if you trapped in this magic, these thoughts always try to take us away from the reality. So it will illustrate an illusionary world as real in front of you. But if you are a monk or if you are a person who is following this Paticca Samuppada Dharma, or this, or you are in this, you are a person who with noble, who follow the noble precepts. You know the truth behind, and you never let your mind to fly away with those thoughts. Your mind cannot be taken away with these thoughts, which are created by those five sensory inputs. So, the noble precepts help us to free the mind. The noble precepts help one understand the nature of experience. That means form, feelings, perception, mental formation, and mental conscious, consciousnesses without getting attached to them. Real understanding comes from seeing that everything is impermanent. So you will feel the world created by your sensory five senses would not be real. So you start to understand, you start to comprehend that the world created in front of you by those five sensory organs, sensors, are not permanent. So, you start to see the magic in it. Those who realize this can attain the true liberation. This is what the this is what the spiritual progress means. What is the state of spiritual progress in your inside you? If you see this impermanence of these five senses, you are in the right track. Thus, such monk is described as, in Pali, Sile Patichaya in Tripitaka. To be free from suffering means realizing this truth. To attain nirvana is to understand the reality, conquering the world and enjoying the everlasting peace. Moreover, with this understanding, the wisdom starts to grow inside you. It cannot be done with another thought. It is not a thought. It has not come from those senses. It has to be grown within you. That is called prajna, the wisdom. The wisdom of seeing the truth is called prajna. So with this wisdom, one can see the impermanence of those thoughts. Through this wisdom, one realizes non-existence of the living being. So finally, he or she starts to feel that there is no person like him or her. There is no soul. In this teaching, wisdom is not just about knowledge. It is about seeing the ultimate truth, which is impermanent suffering and non-self. In Pali, those impermanent suffering and non-self are called anitya, dukkha, anatma. One cannot see nirvana through his or her thoughts. It's through the wisdom that one can perceive it. It is not just a thought. It should be perceived. It is felt inside you. It is felt like salt. The taste of salt you can't tell to other one. It should be felt by your tongue. Likewise, this nirvana, this happy state of mind should be perceived. It should be perceived internally. So, in generally, what should a monk have? I mean, according to the Buddha, to achieve this peace of mind, to the wisdom to achieve this prajna, one must have the qualities of faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and the wisdom. If I tell it in Pali terms, a person should have faith, the saddha, the effort, virya, mindfulness, the sati, concentration, the samadhi, and the wisdom. Faith means saddha. Faith in Pali, we call it saddha. The need to see the truth is the shraddha. The effort to see the truth, we can call it the virya. The clarity of thought that comes from virtue is sati, the mindfulness, and also a focused state of mind that comes from the seeing the truth is the samadhi. The ultimate result will be the lightness that comes from seeing the truth. What is perceived will be the prajna, the wisdom. These qualities are mentioned in the Tripitaka as Panchendriya Dharma. Pancha Indriya Dharma. It is also like an organ. It is built within you. When you see the truth, when you have these qualities, the another organ will be developed inside you. That is called Pancha Indriya Dharma. It's kind of a rule. It's kind of so if you have faith, effort, mindfulness, concentration, and you will ultimately gain the prajna. That is the path. When a person focuses on a goal, they start to see the truth over time. If time passes by, they start seeing the truth. In the end, they find peace to the liberation, true liberation. However, for all this to happen, one must have a kind of a human, the human spirit. He was all of a human. So, if you are in another soul, I mean, if you are in an animal or if you are a tree, according to the Buddha, it is difficult. You have to have a human soul, human spirit. Obtaining that human spirit is quite rare, according to the Lord Buddha. So, being wrapped in this darkness of ignorance can only grasp the essence of truth when they possess this human spirit. If you are only human, you can have the opportunity to understand. Otherwise, other creatures, other living beings can't do so. So if you go back and remind what this khandha is, that process is called seeing the truth. Now let's see what this skandha means. Let's try to understand it by taking the eye as an example and how the vision of the eye takes place. The eye can be understood. It's just like a camera that takes pictures. It captures colors, shapes, but it cannot comprehend what it is. So the eye behaves as a camera. When we see a photo, we think about the things like people, houses, trees, the sun, and the moon, and so on. Actually, we are seeing a photo, but our thoughts, by looking at that photo, our thoughts generated inside our mind and figure them out as separate entities like people, houses, trees, sun, and the moon. At that moment, we are in the world of thoughts. This means we don't see the world directly. Instead, we are living in the world of our own thoughts. Likewise, even the idea of our existence itself comes from a thought. However, according to the Buddha's teaching of cause and effect law, if we analyze this according to the cause and effect principle, we should look beyond this agreement to see the ultimate truth. If you only see what's going on through the Buddhist teaching, the Buddha's teaching, that is Paticca then you will be able to understand what is going on. So what is the truth? Because we won't understand the truth, that's basically because of our ignorance. In Pali, we call it avidya. We get attached to each these colors, shapes, and names, creating a world full of thoughts that we start living in an illusionary world. By those shapes, colors, and names, an illusionary world gets created. It is a process. All of them get created in our mind. So basically, the world is a thought. So, how did this happen? How did this happen? According to the Dhamma, it says, Chakkancha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam vinnang sangati passo. This means that seeing, hearing, and feel to touch come together to create an impact or a spark-like thing. If you tell it in Arana's words, it's just a spark. That spark, that impact, is called the Mana Dhamma. That is this place where our mind gets created through all these sensors, inputs of the sensors. If it is so, think a little bit more further. Has anyone created your mind at that moment? Was there anyone to create it? Or has it been created by someone? No. The mind, the spark, had been created as a result of the impact caused by the name, form, and the feed, which have been captured through your senses. Then what happens to this? Then what happens to this spark? How does this happen? Just like, it's just like the light creates the shadow of some kind of object in the presence of light. And there should be a light source in order to create a shadow. There should be a light source. There should be an object and also a surface, a plain surface. So if the light hits on that object, the shadow of that object will be created on the surface. Likewise, the combination of these three forces, as I told you earlier, name, form, and the field, create an impact or a spark. They all come together and form another kind of kind of an energy. So that's what we call the spark. So that spark is totally different from its causes. Then this impact becomes predominant as a new perception after combining with the previous concept. In an example, we can say, if we see a tree, first we receive the shape, then the color, then the sound, whatsoever, and the feel. All of those senses get together and form a spark, that is the mind. Then the previous conventions which have been loaded during our childhood, that is the name for that particular object. Here is the tree, comes and blend together with that spark to form a thing. For that we call a tree. So that is also another kind of perception. So now you know that the previous concept was derived from this past experience, which was taken place during our childhood. So ultimately, this newly formed perception reflects the recognition of the external object, such as seeing a tree, which is situated just in front of you. Likewise, the objects what you see externally are also the thoughts that are being generated within you, within your mind. So, likewise, whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we feel, all are some kind of thoughts. Likewise, if you see your reflection through a mirror, you recognize your face as my face and your hand as my hand. The shadow. Then we confirm, we get an understanding that the image we are seeing in the mirror is as your image. So for that, you tie up another thought saying, the image I'm seeing through this mirror is me. That's how your identity gets developed. Then the awareness of the tree creates a sense of I. The person who sees the external tree is me. There should be a person to see this tree. There should be a person who feels this tree, who feels this chair. That is me. It is another kind of a spark, another kind of a thought. So that's how, that is the way a person establishes an identity, personal identity for him or her. Now you can understand. There is another point here. If you see if you recognize something is there externally, and there is a person who sees these external things internally, eventually it creates two extremities. One is external, one is internal. In other words, the two extremities in the sense an external world as one extreme, and a person who sees this external world is the other extremity. Lord Buddha said, whenever two extremities are get created involuntarily, and inner force is generated within that spark, that vibration. This energy then promotes creation of more subsequent perception, more subsequent vibrations, giving the initial perception and identity as I or myself. That is the theoretical aspect behind creation of self-identity. That is the way how our self-identity gets created. In other words, we name it as our soul. If you look closely at the process which the soul is get created, you will find there is no one is responsible but your ignorance. Therefore, if you see this systematic chain of reactions which occur one after the other, And if you able to understand the magic, how does it create? How does it create? If you see the magic in it, you can overcome the ignorance. If you understand the magic, how the magician does his magic, there won't no longer be a magic to see. Likewise, if you see the systematic chain of reactions that occur one after the other, and if you are able to understand the process from that point onwards, your ignorance would no longer be there. Then you will realize that there is nothing called me, nothing called you, nothing can be assigned as you. It is just only a thought. It is just only a spark. Whenever you think, whatever you see, whatever you hear, and wherever you go, at any moment there will be just a single thought. Even you think that you are born, even you think that you are dying, all of them are thoughts. There is nothing to be taken as a thing here. If you have no doubt about it, and if it is 100% clear for you, you can say that you have samaditya. In English, we call it you have the right view or the correct perspective of seeing the nature, seeing the Dhamma, seeing the Mana Dhamma, the way of the Paticcasamuppada Dhamma. You know that. That is the samaditya, right view. In the teachings of Lord Buddha, the key concepts to reflect on are the Four Noble Truths. There are four noble truths preached by Lord Buddha. The first one is existence of universal suffering. Now you can understand, now you know, if you take this world as real, just because of your ignorance, that is the reason for the initiation of universal suffering. That is a truth. That is a noble truth. If you move to the second one, the second noble truth is the causes of that suffering. So we have to find out what is the cause for this suffering. If you think that you are born in this world and you are living, and if you think, if you take this everything as real, itself is the cause of the suffering. There is a person to suffer. If you take you as real, so eventually your world become a real entity for you. Then there will be a person who is suffering in that world. That may be you. Thirdly, Buddha preached there's a possibility of ending the suffering. Yes, if you get rid of your ignorance, if you see and realize the cause and effect law, in other words, if you understand this world is not real, or you are in an illusionary world, or there is no one to taken as I or me, then who will be there to suffer? No one will be there to suffer. So that is possible. The ending of suffering is not impossible. That is possible if you, the only thing what you have to do is get rid of your ignorance. If you do not have birth or death, if you understand both the birth and death are just thoughts, you will feel a huge relief, aren't you? So, overcoming the ignorance makes you capable of ending the suffering. So, that is the third noble truth. As Buddha said, fourth noble truth is the most important thing. That is the path that guides one toward the cessation of suffering. So, how you should? There's a possibility in third truth. He said there's a possibility of end this suffering. So, how we should end this suffering? It says in the third noble truth, the path that guides one towards the cessation of suffering. That is the most practical way of training you to gain the wisdom of correct perspective. Is the path that leads you to the true liberation. That's what Lord Buddha said. So, we know the Sammaditthi. We know how this is illusionary world is created. We know how your self-identity gets created. You know there are four noble truths which was preached by Lord Buddha, and you know the path. There's a path. There's a way out from this. There's a way out to get rid from this universal suffering. If you go more deeper into that, this path comprises of four mindfulness practices. In Pali, those four practices are called, those four practical paths which have to be practiced one after another, called Sattara Satipatthana. In that Sattara Satipatthana, the first one is Kayanupassana. The second one is the Vedananupassana. Third one is the Chittanupassana. And the last one is the Dhammanupassana. I think we have to take one by one separately, and we have to discuss them in depth. If you want, if we are practicing, if we want to go through this path, we have to know it very in depth about all of these 4 mindfulness practices. I think we can discuss in another session. For today, I think this is enough. And in conclusion, as we carry this teaching into our daily lives, let us commit to practicing mindfulnesses and embracing the wisdom of impermanence. May we support each and other on this path, cultivating awareness and compassion in every moment. However, together we can transform our understanding and move closer to the true liberation. And when we get thorough in this, this is some Pada Dhamma, you will feel it is not a knowledge. You will begin to feel that you are getting liberated from your thoughts. You will feel you are improving. That's why Lord Buddha said it has to be felt by yourselves. The liberation will be felt. That is guaranteed. So, thank you all for being here today and engage in this important session. May we continue to explore these insights and share our journeys towards liberation and the true understanding. Thank you very much. And Thiruvan Saranai.
Thiruvan Saranai, Dhamma friend. My sincere thanks for your exceptional speech about true Dhamma. And it was a very effective speech. And thank you so much again. Let me worship Lord, our Arana, Buddha Pada Arana, Thiruvan Saranai, Thiruvan Saranai, everyone.